What is up, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WP Workshop. What I want to show you today is how you can use an AI agent through n8n to help you respond to contact form questions faster. And the keyword here is help you respond. So the agent isn't gonna respond for you. We all hate that. We all hate to get this generic AI response. So we're not gonna be sending those. What we're gonna do instead is use AI to help us draft an answer. And the agent is gonna use not just its own training data, but also a knowledge base extracted from your documentation, your service description, whatever it might be. Alright, and here we are. So the whole setup is gonna be pretty simple. It's gonna work with any contact form solution plugin running on WordPress. And yeah, let's just see how it works. So I actually created the whole thing in here already. And believe it or not, it's basically one node. So it's just this node here called AI agent that does most of the work. The nodes around are just helpers so that I can show you, how this all works. So what's gonna happen is pretty simple. So the agent is gonna receive a message from your contact form, but for now, for demo purposes, I'm just using a chat message just that I can show you the logic of this solution. Then the AI agent is gonna process all the things and finally it's gonna suggest a response to that contact message. So what's going on? So first of all, we have the agent, and the agent is a pretty simple thing. It uses a user message that's defined below, and the message is pretty simple. The contact message to process is this, and it comes from the chat input. Then we have a custom system message, and this custom system message is basically where all the magic happens. I can share this system prompt in the video description so you can check it out in there, but for now in here I'm just gonna discuss the basic most important elements of it. So basically I'm just telling the agent to write me a response, but I'm using slightly more words to do it. I have some rules, for what I consider a quality response and so on. And I also tell the agent in here that you also have access to a Google Calendar tool and use it if the person is asking for a meeting to check my actual availability. And yeah, you're gonna see that I connected a tool called Google Calendar, and in here the operation that's being executed is availability. So basically it's checking availability from one of my calendars. Pretty simple to set up. I connect a model through OpenRouter. I prefer to use it that way, and I also have it connected right now to Gemini 3.6. I think it's okay for this kind of work, so it's gonna work, and that is it. But where is the knowledge base, right? So I told you that it's working based on some knowledge base. So one way to connect a knowledge base would be to add an additional tool, and for example through something like Quadrant, but that would be a rather serious setup. So I will do something much simpler. So basically what I did is took content from my actual website, convert it to Markdown, and I'm actually supplying this content in the prompt itself. So right here, you can see the rules and so on, the response format, and then the knowledge base section, which is the whole content of my homepage. This is not too long, so you can add it to a system prompt. And I think that it's quite a workable solution for what we need in here, because you can do it pretty easily. You can digest, your main service descriptions or your product descriptions, right? It's not only for services. You might set this up on a e-commerce store, so people are gonna ask about your products and so on. So you can supply an excerpt of the most important information about your business. You can supply it to the agent as part of the system message, and it's gonna be able to retract that message pretty effectively. Of course, the quality of the response depends highly on the prompt. So yeah, that is it. This final node that I'm using here is just to combine the response. So basically I'm getting the response from the agent, and then I also display the original message that was received from the user. So let me just demonstrate if this works, right? So this is gonna be from a potential customer. So what type of services do you do? Let's send it. And you can see that the message has been sent. The agent is working. It's fetching information, deciding what to say. And yeah, it responded. You can see it in here. So first off, I get a summary of the user user message. I actually asked for this summary as part of my prompt. So that was in the response format. I actually asked to start with a quick 10-word summary, just, so that I know at a glance what the person is requesting. So the user is asking for an overview of your services. Great. So the suggested response is, thanks for reaching out. Here's a summary of what I do. And then the agent is inviting the person to fill out a intake form so that we can decide, how to best work together. And I instructed the agent to do it through my system prompt, right? And I can also see the original message. So it's very, very simple. And ideally, I would get all of this sent to my email. So I would get the original message of the person along with a suggested response by AI. And of course, the right thing to do would be to read through it and, fix anything that doesn't sound like you, right? So this is only a helper. This is meant to help you respond quicker so you can get the input from AI and then decide what to actually send. So yeah, looking nice. Let's reset and maybe let's say I'm interested in some content work. When can we meet and talk about it? So this is going to be a new message. So I'm asking, you see what I'm asking, and I want to test if the agent is going to suggest an actual time slot based on my availability. And you can see already that it requested some work from the tool to compose the response. So let's see what's the response. So we have, thanks for reaching out. Okay, just as before. And yeah, does tomorrow at 11 a.m. Warsaw time work for a quick intake call? And that is based on my actual availability. Plus, I'm also telling the agent to suggest only time slots between 10 and 2 p.m. I think. So yeah, it's quite simple and it gives you a great suggestion. So how to set it up so that it's not just in n8n, right? So pretty simple really. All you do is just grab a email trigger based on IMAP and connect it as the input. And in here, you would just set up the actual address, email address that's being used by your contact form. So for example, if you have something like contact form 7, maybe, then by default, this plugin is gonna send emails to your main site admin email. And you can of course leave it at that, or you can set a different email here and then set that email in this node so that n8n is going to be able to receive those emails. Yeah, so that is basically it. So this is the email, it's going to come into the agent is going to do its work, and then at the end you can also send the response back to you. So you can send it either through the same email or somewhere else maybe. So at the end of the day, you will get the contact message along with a suggested response, and you're gonna receive it in your inbox. Yeah, how cool is that? It's basically a couple of notes. Yeah, so that is it. Do let me know what you think. Let me know if you're gonna check out this automation through n8n. You can find my prompts in the description, and yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe. I'm Karol. You can find me at wpwork.shop, and see you next time.